Good afternoon. This is Jason Thomas here from Executive Leadership International and Chief Executive Officer of the LMS Doctor Portfolio Group. That's how we're going to call ourselves for the time being as we combine our companies under a single roof. Today, I want to talk about management. I kind of already made that commitment earlier this morning. A little bit later start as it's been a very busy, productive day. It is Red Friday, making sure that is always understood. I will ask every Friday to please keep those who are deployed in your thoughts and prayers. Reach out to a family member who has someone deployed and offer them at a minimum thanks. And if you have the ability to assist them in any way, please do so, as I know it will be appreciated. And it's going to be hard for me on Fridays not to go off on that because there's very little that is important to me as that. But we're going to talk about management today. And while it was happenstance that I was on chapter 4 for leadership when I covered that subject from Dr. O's book, This Is Why Christians Are Broke, I intentionally made sure to pair this with my first reading of his chapter 5 on management, because Dr. O has such a wide scope of its application and the discussion of both leadership and management that it is I'm encouraged from where I fit into the mix. So going to start off, what is management? What is a manager? That's our goal for today. And we're going to start off. My mouse wants to speed up. With what I define as a poor management. Now, you'll notice in leadership, there was not poor leadership and a poor leader. It was merely leadership or not, and being a leader or not. Management, you can do poorly. You can be a manager and be a poor manager. All right. And poor management, I surmise as the allocation of resources in an attempt to accomplish a goal. That doesn't sound bad. That is the simplest definition of management. But there's some key factors here. Attempt, a goal. So when you compare that to what I consider to be the definition of management itself, and note I don't call it good management. This is simply what management is meant to be. The deliberate optimization and allocation of finite resources to ensure the ethical accomplishment of an understood objective. Very deliberate with these words as part of my management. Optimization doesn't have on accident. Your resources are finite in whatever you are attempting to accomplish. One of the interesting facts that I picked up in some of my graduate studies on complex systems is that for a complex system, if all resources are equally applied, the system will not operate at its peak efficiency, or in short, be optimized. What that means is that, especially as department heads and executives, we have to have a clear understanding of that fact that we have so many resources. We have to be deliberate with where we put them. And it's important as frontline leaders to have a strong understanding of this and the ability to communicate this to your team. Because while your individual segment may be able to perform better if some additional resources were provided to you, the organization as a whole, and its overall mission, may not be as effective. Not that you don't provide the value to it, but with finite resources, that the organization will see more return on investment by having those finite resources applied somewhere else. Not particularly comforting necessarily to those on the floor, but you will have individuals, right, especially those who are up and coming leaders themselves, that will understand it. There's a difference between understanding and happiness when it comes to these things, 100%. And they can, and that's what professionalism is. But we'll go into that to another day. So I also have in here specifically to ensure, because that implies ownership, right? That management is being performed by a manager, and therefore they have ownership. Right? It has integrity through the ethical accomplishment, not cutting corners to meet our objective, and of an understood objective. Right? We've been hit on all the time, which I'm in perfect alignment with Dr. O, and whether that's the first place I heard it or not. It can't be more than spot on in the preaching of this. You have knowledge, which is information, understanding, which is the potential for action from that knowledge, and wisdom, which is the application of understood knowledge. You're going to hear me say this almost in every video. It's that important to understand and apply. So that's what management is. So what's a manager? We'll start again with a poor manager. You may be a leader or not a leader, right? But we already discussed you can be a poor manager. There's plenty of them. An individual who practices poor management and fails to provide leadership to the resources they have applied. Pretty straightforward. You enacted poor management, fail to provide any leadership to the resources, will not be successful. So what's a manager? You can say a good manager, but this is what a manager needs to be. Someone with a concise understanding of the true objective they have delegated the authority and responsibility to accomplish, and through acts of leadership, perform the act of management. Now, there's a lot in this one. I had to pare it down a little bit because it wouldn't even let me have all the characters I wanted in there, because being a manager is one of the most critical and difficult roles to fulfill, because it requires more than leadership. Anyone can be a leader. While anyone may have the potential to be a manager, especially when we're talking about the world of business, everyone isn't a manager. So to be an effective manager, you have to have that concise understanding, deliberate word there, of the true objective. The ability to step back and understand what the objective of the project is, the program, the organization as a whole, and how do these intertwine together and support one another. It has to be embodied by the manager. And that is why many times the best managers can be, I would say the best managers are those who have done the work, who are good leaders, because they have a deep understanding of what's been done. But that in itself doesn't make a good manager. Too many companies promote people into the wrong positions simply because of their seniority. You've been here the longest, well, I guess that makes you the next supervisor, the next manager. That is playing craps. Right? Odds are not in your favor. Now, if as an organization you have a culture of effective training and you develop the leadership capabilities in your subject matter experts, you will have one of the greatest managers and subsequent leaders within your organization. That's an investment worth making. I call out the fact that they've been delegated authority and responsibility. This has been something that my father has preached time and time again, and I agree 100%. You have to have the authority if you're going to have the responsibility. Because responsibility without authority is just a recipe for your own disaster. And authority without responsibility, it will produce results all over the map because there's no ownership. And the act of management is performed through the act of leadership. To be a manager, you must first be a leader. Plain and simple. You can have all the PMP certifications you want. You can have full waterfall, agile, workflow breakdowns that you want. If you are responsible for whether it's a project or a program You're responsible for the allocation of resources. You are a manager. You're either a poor manager or you're an effective manager. One or the other. But to be an effective manager requires that you are an effective leader. All starts with leadership. And with that, I hope everyone has a wonderful weekend. Put in your comments any individuals that you would like to have in particular thoughts on this Red Friday. I am making it a point to reach out to any individual that's flagged to let them know that they're in the thoughts of many today. So if you have, please start filling out the comments, hit me up on LinkedIn. If you ever have any comments, questions, want to learn more, the book will be coming into June, but I'm happy to consult and speak my passion on this subject well in front of that as well. So have a wonderful weekend. Red Friday.